Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with B.A. Turner. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I'm doing fine. It's just super hot out. I've been working outside all day long, and I just want to go to sleep until fall. So,
Yeah.
where do you live? What state are you in?
I'm in Michigan, so I'm dealing with the heat, the humidity, and
Oh,
today
okay. Okay.
storms.
Yeah,
So yeah.
we were like 89 and like 100% humidity. You too? Does that
Yep.
ruin the cheese?
Yeah.
So, you got a comic here, right? Well, first off, let me do my commercials for my comics, and then we'll talk about your comic. For those of you who watch it, I have a comic called Heroic Tales. It's on Fund My Comic. It's doing. I hit the wrong button as I normally do. It's doing pretty good on Fund My Comic. I have an exclusive cover there for oh, I keep hitting the wrong buttons. There we go. There we go. It has an exclusive cover there from Pat Broderick, who also did Bronze Star with Mike Barron. There you go. So this is the only place you could get this, and we are this close to unlocking the next stretch goal.
Nice.
And the stretch goals are. Oh, I didn't mean to make that spin. Now everybody's sick, but oh God, my computer is just falling apart on me. But these are the cards. And there's a seventh card that I forgot that there's a seventh character. So there'll be a seventh card that will lock. So we got the three locked. Three locked and three opened. We're really close to the next one. And then I thought, why not? Let's try something. Try an experiment. I've never done this before. I will go. I did Kickstarter with another cover.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to Kickstarter, you can get a black and white version. People asked me for that, and then nobody backed it. And then the back cover, they wanted it as the front cover. And then I got this Michael T. Gilbert from Mr. Monster, and this is on Kickstarter. I wanted to have something different to get people to going back and forth to different platforms. So we'll see. This is going to be short. This is 2 months shutdown, and then I'm going to do Indiegogo with the third variant cover. So there we go. That's my commercial out of the way. So, you have a comic right now, right?
Yeah, I have a kind of a combination campaign because it's got two novels and then a mini comic, so it's kind of a companion comic.
Oh, I forgot you had a novel, and I
Yep.
keep hitting the wrong buttons. Do you want to bring it up, or do you want me to bring it up?
Well, if you don't mind, go ahead and bring it up, and then yeah, we can just kind of scroll through it.
Okay, Vigilantes Creed, and
Yeah.
this is on Indiegogo.
Yep. Yeah, it's
The link.
also on Fun My Comic, but obviously, kind of the bigger chunk of the audience is gravitated towards Indiegogo. So
Yeah, I haven't done Indiegogo yet. Indiegogo seems to be the hot one. No disrespect to Luke Stone, but Fund My Comic is the newest one. So I wanted to start out small with people that I trust to have a home base to go to.
Mhm.
And I think it's working out really well. I ironed out a lot of problems. Luke was so patient, so helpful to me. I'm going to be with Fund My Comic for forever. I really like it. And then
Mhm.
Kickstarter seems to be the controversial one. So I said, let me try that and see how it works.
Mhm.
I got to admit, I'm not too impressed. I don't know if I'm naive thinking it would be a bigger splash, but whatever. But Indiegogo still seems to be pretty strong with us comic book people. So maybe I'll do, what do they call, bat cleanup? Indiegogo will bat cleanup for me. So anyway, I'm babbling. So this is your comic, Vigilantes Creed, 2 novels and a mini comic. Holy mackerel. A Lovecraftian tale about a gargoyle and his team of vigilantes fighting terror in Detroit. All right, I'm a big Lovecraft freak, so this is right up my alley.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah. So this is I'm a little bit different from a lot of comic book creators in the sense that I didn't really get exposed to comics as a kid. I grew
Okay.
up in the middle of nowhere. My whole life was working on a farm and playing basketball. And I had never even seen a comic book shop as a kid. There was
Wait,
none.
where'd you grow up?
Like the Lapeer area in Michigan, so just pure
Oh, okay.
farm country.
Because it says Reno.
Yep.
It says Reno, and I was thinking
Oh,
Nevada.
I just moved from there about a month ago.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah. I once I got into college though, right, that's when there was the boom of comic book movies, and I also was a huge fan of Smallville at the end of high school, and that's what really got me to start collecting comics, start reading comics, and start getting inspired by the different mediums that were covering comic book characters. And kind of along the way, I was going through a rough period in my life, and I just needed some sort of outlet. And I had this idea for a story just about this gargoyle protecting the city of Detroit. And one night, with some liquid encouragement, I just sat down and started writing. Had no idea how to write, just needed to get some emotions on paper, and I ended up just falling in love with it. And just as I continued to write, I just continued to read. I just studied and learned and just continued to edit each chapter as I wrote it. And yeah, I just fell in love with the story and just the process of writing. And after, 5, 6 years, I had two novels done, over 160,000 words.
Wow.
And, you know, did like 2 years of editing, working with a writing coach. And then I was like, you know what? I need to do some killer art for this. I initially released the first book on Amazon, kind of like a lot of folks. I kind of rushed the artwork and just I wanted to get my story out there. Kind
Did
of
you
that.
draw? Did you draw all this too?
No, no, I commissioned an out of country artist, and he was a great artist, but it just I didn't I didn't take the time to really get the proper layout, the right color tones. Just I didn't put enough thought into it, and I also was naive, right? Thinking, oh, if I put it on Amazon, right, thousands of people will see it.
Right.
Well, just like some folks thoughts with Kickstarter. It's truly hit or miss, and if you don't have a following, if
Yeah.
you are not active online, whether it's here or Twitter, like it's just
Gets lost in the
it
shuffle.
evaporates, right?
Yeah.
So after a year of that, I reevaluated things and I started following folks like Corey Barton on Twitter, and I just started seeing all this great artwork. And I was like, I need to find an artist that has already created some characters where I can just see my characters in that art style. And seeing Corey and Clayton's Kozar did that. And as soon as Corey did the first wraparound cover for the first book, we went right into the second book. And then I'm like, I can't stop here. Like, I have to see every character come to life, per se. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to do something that's kind of in the middle, something that's different. And I was like, you know what, I'll create a mini comic that provides all the visualizations, all the character introductions, and depicts some of the major scenes so that as you're reading the novel, you can see exactly how these characters are supposed to look like. You can get a quick refresher on who they are, what they do, and their key information. And then you just play it out like a movie. Because with novels, the biggest distraction is you're trying to piece together what does every character look like. And then if you
Yeah.
put the book down, you're trying to remember how did I piece that together? And it's a distraction. Where with a comic, right, you don't have to worry about that. It's just like a film in a way that you can just follow along and focus on the story and the flow of it. And so that's what I did. And yeah, I'm really, really happy I did it. And now I'm working on the script for a full comic issue, because my goal now is to do a full comic series and also work on novels too. So yeah, essentially, it's a story about a gargoyle and a team of vigilantes fighting terror in Detroit. Terror, which is headed by a man named Incubus, who has unearthed the Nazi era mind control serum that allows him to turn the city's criminals into super soldiers.
Okay.
And so it sets up this street level war between these vigilantes and these super soldiers, and Incubus, which is the Lovecraftian style character that you'll see there with the wicked looking mask. And
Oh, that's a mask. Okay, I thought maybe he was like a non-human or something.
nope, nope. So yeah, that's where the Lovecraftian horror kind of comes in, is what he actually does to those super soldiers, how he creates them, how he manipulates folks using neuroscience, and so yeah, I kind of the best way to kind of do comparatives for it is if you were to take Batman, Watchmen, and Hellboy and stick it in a blender and then throw some Lovecraftian salt on it, and that would be essentially Vigilantes Creed. So I think we lost John. Just me.
Sorry, my internet just
Ah,
went out
you're
for a
back.
second. I'm so glad that you stayed here. I don't know what happened.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I'm just checking my way because I'm down in the basement. I have no idea if oh, it's high winds. That shouldn't have done it. That's
Oh.
actually pretty scary. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. I lost internet earlier today because of the same issue. So luckily it came back.
Man, I'm so sorry. That's
Oh, you're
literally
good.
the first time that happened.
Oh
I'm
no,
sorry
you're
about that.
good.
Yeah,
So
when I said
yeah.
kick John, I was just kidding. Sorry, everybody. That scared the poop out of me. So the last thing I heard, you were saying that this is a mask, and because I was thinking, are you got into comics late? You said you got into comics in college. You didn't grow up. So I got a couple of questions about that. But did you ever play Dungeons and Dragons? These are like my standard questions that I ask everybody because when I first saw this, I was like, oh, cool. The main supervillain is a mind flayer from Dungeons and Dragons, and Dungeons and mind flayers are my favorite monster in Dungeons and Dragons. Like
Nice.
my friends are sick of fighting mind flayers.
Yeah, no, actually it's funny, a lot of folks think, right, it's um
I'm gonna pull this down so we can
well,
talk. I'll pull it up again later.
oh, you're good. No, it's like, a lot of folks think it's like a copy of a Lovecraft character, right? Or a mind flayer. And what's ironic about it is it's actually none of the above. The Lovecraftian influence is more about the mental manipulation, right? The
Right.
psychology part of horror. Uh, um, Incubus, the character, so the symbolism there is, when he uses his mind control serum on his victims, he can convince them, right, to feel no pain, to feel no fear. And when they're fully transformed into a super soldier, when they see Incubus, they see the mask, but it can move, right? All the tentacles are moving. There's ink, oozing from his mouth. Like it's this really trippy experience. And so,
Is it the
you know,
drug that caused them to see this, or is there like mechanics in the mask that make it
no,
more?
it's just the effect of that serum. So he during the treatments, like he convinces them, like he's like their god, and
Okay.
convinces them to see these things after the actual treatments. And so where the name comes in is he's supposed to look like an octopus, right? An octopus is able to, right? Obviously, they have the ability to spew ink, and so that ties into what he makes his subjects witness. But he also has a mechanical right arm, like an apparatus that gives him strength and to choke his victims, right? To have immense strength, just like an octopus could constrict its victims. So it's just tied into, looking like and also having similar abilities to that of an octopus. So, yeah, so I kind of just came up with the mask initially and then tied in the name and kind of the references to an octopus. So,
I,
yeah.
in my role playing games, we play superhero role playing games with my friends. One of the major villains was called the Octopus, and
Mhm.
he was a human that was transformed into an octopus like being, but I can't put him in the comic because there's a Savage Dragon character called the Octopus who had a similar look, and I'm like, oh man. So I'm just so I was like, oh wow, do you have like the same kind of character as me? Because nothing exists in a vacuum. We all read comics. We're all probably inspired by this. So it's vastly different than my character. So that's good. But I just I can't put in something that's similar to Eric Larson's character. And I've been playing this for like 30 years, so it predated, but nobody's gonna believe me. So I was curious about
Yeah.
that. Have you gotten any pushback? because a few people, when I told them there was a lot of Lovecraftian influences in my superhero comics, people like, oh, roll their eyes, like, oh, Lovecraft is so played out, I'm tired. So I kind of toned that down for a little bit. And I mean, if you don't bring it up, it's kind of easy to mask. Like, I'm not changing it. I'm just not saying that there's Lovecraft. But in the second issue, there's like an ancient horror that's going to be, you know, the problem. As long as I don't say Lovecraft, I don't think because it's unique to me. But whatever. It's basically,
Well,
I'm
it's
a
funny.
long-winded whine-about way is how are people reacting to Lovecraft? Because I love it. I'm a Lovecraft freak.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, when you're speaking with comic folks online, that's where I get the pushback, and they kind of assume that the character and the story is like full blown like copying Lovecraft, and I'm like, no, it's actually more like Batman, more like Hellboy. It's just that psychological terror aspect, the
See,
mental manipulation that is
I
Lovecraftian,
totally
not
agree with you because when
the
people who
out
don't
of
know
world stuff.
Lovecraft, when they mention when anybody mentions Lovecraft, you can tell who read them and who didn't because they say tentacles and stuff like that. Like, dude, I don't even think
Hmm.
there's a tentacle in a Lovecraft story. You know what I mean? Like Cthulhu has tentacles, but if you changed his tentacles to I don't know extra arms or whatever, it wouldn't matter because it made no difference to the story. It wasn't hentai. Nobody got strangled by a squid. You know what I mean? It was just a giant Godzilla creature rose through the water, got hit by a boat, and then we never heard from him again. That's the extent of tentacles. But but like you said, it's all psychological terror. Like what I like about Lovecraft is you're never quite sure if this person's insane. What did he really see? You know, I like that. Like you open it
Hmm.
up and it's a third person reading a manuscript who was the doctor of another person. And we're leading this
Hmm.
person's story as interpreted by this person, and we're reading. So we don't know. Did this really happen? Was this nonsense? You know, that's the kind of stuff that I really. So when I'm saying Lovecraftian, I think me and you are on the same page. It's psychological. It's you know creepy rather than overtly like this.
Exactly.
The early Lovecraft stories were like over the top. You know what do they say? Granguian, people just bleeding to death. But as he got older, it got to be like more boring because you don't get to
Yeah.
see the monster. You know so that kind of stuff I really like. Like I obviously I love Hellboy is Lovecraftian in the
Yeah.
best sense of the word. You know. Yeah,
Mhm.
so I'm with you. You know, so I'm just not telling people love because people get like, oh, it's going to be perverts
Uh-huh.
and he was a horrible racist and blah blah blah. So you know, I just don't need any of that stuff. Jamie
Yeah,
says you got to get into Lovecraft. It's a tough read. It's a tough read. I talk about Lovecraft so much. My wife was like, I want to read one of his stories, and she read The Outsider,
mm,
and she's like, I'm done. You know what I mean? It was just like a lot of work for the payoff. But I just recently listened to them all. You know, I'm a construction worker. Sometimes I'll get like a boring, repetitive job that you just do 100 of the same things over and over and over and over again. So I'll put in my earbuds and I just listened to the complete Lovecraft again. Oh my God. Like it was so good with some eerie music and a guy's voice that was just, it was so, I was like, it was the middle of the day. There's 600 people around, you know, I'm like, get the creeps. I had to turn it off, put on some, you know, Led Zeppelin music to you know what I mean. I was getting a little scared, but yeah, again, and I'm talking too much because when anybody says Lovecraft, I don't even need a guest anymore.
and Alex knocks out of the park here, and this is
Yeah,
where it really why it's suitable for my book because you know again that villain Incubus, what he does is when he does this procedure with what's called the synapses serum, and he injects it into the patient, and then he uses like a gaseous mixture to knock him out, right? And then he's connected by wires, you know, to certain points of, you know, at the base of the skull or whatnot of the patient or the subject. And what this procedure does is it allows him to enter the subconscious of his subject. And so he's walking through the minds of his subjects, trying to unlock doors, right? Trying to learn about them so that he knows exactly what buttons to push, exactly how to manipulate them mentally to make them a perfect soldier to do everything that he asks. And that's where I really lean into, yeah, like what can someone do to someone's subconscious? How can they manipulate their mind? And then that's where that eeriness and that horror comes in, is because I go into detail, what that subject is experiencing. And so that's, yeah, where I have to really kind of explain to people, like, that's the Lovecraftian aspect of it, not aliens, monsters, out of world things. But what's ironic is when I am in person events, people love it when you mention Lovecraft. It's just when you're doing like online,
Well, online,
talking to comic folks.
we both know online is not real. Some people go out of the way to misinterpret what you're saying, or to focus on a typo. I got to admit, I used to be one of those grammar Nazis, and I just realized nobody was taking me seriously, so I actually stopped. And I didn't realize this. This is my niece, Jamie. Hey,
Oh, nice.
I didn't realize this. Okay, I was like, oh, Jamie, that's nice to see your new name, but it's my niece. Oh, how you doing? How's everybody? How's Lily? How's your mom? How's Madeline? How's Emily? My sister with her army of kids. Oh, that made me feel good. But that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But that's you brought up Ravenloft. Alex, you're pushing the buttons. Do you want me to talk about D&D with poor B.A. Turner over here left out? Get me started about role-playing games. And Jamie, when are you guys going to come over and play Dungeons & Dragons? We're getting an air conditioner upstairs. My sister wouldn't stay over the house and I don't blame her. The air conditioner broke.
Yeah.
Lord Colostomus Butt Eagle. Now that's a name.
Nice.
Did somebody tell you that I had a deathly fear of the Swedish Chef as a child? This has, apropos of nothing, when I was a little kid, I was psyched to watch the Muppets. I'm sorry, BA, but I know you're talking about your comic. But when I was in first grade, they had this weekly reader, and it was just like a little pamphlet, and it was like you could send money and buy books, and it had advertisements, to help pay for the weekly reader. And one of them was the Muppet Show. And I was so excited for weeks. So I got my whole family. We watched the Muppet Show, the first episode of the Muppet Show. I was there day one. And the Swedish Chef, and I don't remember if the Swedish Chef was on the first episode, but he came out and I screamed because he had real hands. He was with real, and it freaked me out. And then that's just one of those family things that I get teased about. But there was a question here about you that I wanted to yes, Lovecraft influenced so many. Like when I tell people, I'm looking at all your Batman stuff, Arkham Asylum. When I tell people that Arkham was made by Lovecraft, and then I forget who it was that incorporated it into Batman.
Scarecrow for sure would be Lovecraft influenced.
That was Lovecraft's big famous quote, that the oldest fear is the fear of the unknown. And that is when you say something is Lovecraftian, it's psychological and it's the unknown. Tentacles and all that other stuff is what people who never read Lovecraft say. But I'm babbling too much because the coffee's kicked in and I got excited that my niece is here. How are you going to do Ravenloft without me? For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Ravenloft is there was Dungeons & Dragons, and then they would have like settings like Dragonlance, Greyhawk, and things like that. One of them was Ravenloft, and the point of Ravenloft, I totally believe it was influenced by like Anne Rice and stuff, but it played up the role playing and the horror aspects of Dungeons. So it was like the demi-plane of dread, where Lord Strahd was like this vampiric god king, and and he fed off everybody's fear. So like you were supposed to play it like a gothic horror, and people treated it just like another hack and slash, missing the whole point. You could also talk about anime and manga. Well, that'll get me to be quiet. Are you an anime and manga fan? Yeah. Okay. So
just Pokemon.
So
if you consider that
Lovecraft, we could talk all
anime.
Love this. Now I'm going to get teased about the Swedish Chef. The hands freak you out. Yep. Corey Barton did the art for his mini comic. This stuff is so cool. There's a 60s band called H.P. Lovecraft. Yes. They come up every once in a while on my Pandora. I put on a Pandora station, and if you just let it drift with, Ravenloft is a subsetting. I'm just trying to go through the chats, and then I'm sorry, I just got here a bit ago. Do you have a book? Oh, there. We'll bring it back to that. And for the chat wants to know, do you have a book?
Yeah, and so yeah, just to help that person catch up. So yeah, I have 2 prose novels and a mini comic. They're both around 250 pages each, but they're in comic book size. So
Oh, okay.
traditional size, they'd be like 300 pages each. So a very large cover, wraparound cover, larger font. So it's a much easier um, reading experience. It's more comfortable, right? Because you're not trying to really dig into the spine. It's nice and flexible and all that. Um, and the purpose of the mini comic is to give you 15 pages of art that introduces every character, shows you exactly how they should look, and gives you some of the major scenes. And while we're on the Lovecraft topic, one of the cool options, I mean, there's a black and white art book that has this cover, but there's a duology version that is both books in one. And Joe Ball did just a perfect cover to capture all of my characters and the style that I was going for. And what's cool about it is it works in both directions.
Oh, wow.
So he's got like 5 of the main characters in there, and yeah, he's got action going in both ways, and it's just
Look how thick
such a beautiful piece.
that'll stop
So
a bullet.
yeah,
That book.
probably would, yeah.
Yeah.
So and the books are 100% done. I've been shipping these out for about 5 months. So if you order, I typically ship out next day. And then I also have, just so you can kind of get a style or an idea of the style of Corey Barton's art. Here's the mini comic, the cover for this. So I have, all of my books are soft touch laminated, very thick cardstock, and all of that. And then this is what one of the individual novels looks like. So again,
Oh,
you
wow.
can
Cool.
see the
Oh, open it up. Let me
Lovecraftian
see the print
influence.
inside. Oh,
So
good. I
yeah,
can appreciate
mm,
my old man eyes. I can appreciate the big printing. Yeah.
exactly. And
I
then
bought
yeah,
a
like
copy
I
of
said, wraparound.
I bought a copy of a novel. Uh, I can't pronounce it, but it was the novel that inspired the movie that inspired the Joker. The
Mm,
Compancinos, it was called,
hmm.
and it inspired the movie The One Who Laughs. And I threw it out because the print was so freaking tiny. Even with the magnify, I'm not going to read a novel with a magnify. So,
Mm.
apropos of nothing, I also want to point out that everybody's hitting my niece up for information about me. Is this all an act? Is he the same way? At least my niece is backing me up. Yep, he's the
That's
same.
funny.
Yeah, they said, Jamie, is it pretty much the same in real life? Spiel the beans. Yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah. Uh,
So
so,
yeah, there's 2 novels. There's 2 different variants for the mini comic, and then there's also a black and white art book, which is just all of the
oh, let
art
me go
that I
down the
did the
tiers then. I'm
project.
sorry. So
Yep.
$50. This is everything. Everything
Y-
physical.
Yeah, this would be the best bang for your buck. You get both of the novels, you get both variants of the mini comic, and then you also get the black and white art book. And then you get 4 free laminated art prints, 2 free oversized and laminated bookmarks,
Okay.
and you get a free trading card as well, all for $50. So it's like less than $10 a book.
Okay.
Um, and then this is just a 3-piece trading card set with Joe Ball art. This can also be an add-on, but I added this later on while I was in demand. So for folks that might want to come back and collect those. And essentially, there's an option to where you can just get one individual mini comic or any of the novels individually, or
Okay.
two novels, one mini comic, the duology, one mini comic. So any option you may be interested in, it's there. So there's a lot of different perks. There's also a custom lunchbox.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah,
Where did you get that made? That is so cool.
yeah. I'm trying to think. I'll dig up the name
Oh,
of
that is so
the
cool.
site I use, and I can send that to you. Yeah, it worked out great.
That
And
is
then
cool.
there's also a 500-piece puzzle as one of the
Oh,
options.
I've been seeing that more and more. People, I guess puzzles are coming back.
Hmm.
That
Yeah,
is
there's
cool.
aluminum signs. I have posters, and then there's one original art piece as well by Skunk Artworks that's still available. So there's lots of stuff, and I'm fully stocked up.
Oh,
So
you got some original stuff. I'm blown away by a lunchbox.
yeah, my kid loves the lunchbox. I gave him one. He's like 2 years old, and I'll tell you what, it's resistant. He's been tossing that thing around. He's been
Oh,
standing on it, and it's still pretty structurally sound. He puts all his little toy animals in there and carries them around like a little briefcase. It's hilarious. So,
uh,
uh,
that is so cool. I wanted, I'm I already showed that I'm making a superhero comic book, and as such, I have rules for superhero stuff. So
yep.
I was going to ask you about Incubus, but then you went and described them, and it was perfect because
Mhm.
as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, the creature at Incubus is some sort of like dream demon that invades your sleep. Usually, the females are called succubus, the males are called incubus or whatever. There's
Mhm.
different flavors of them. They're half human, half demon, or human, whatever. But
Yep.
the commonality of them is they influence your thoughts and dreams. So I was going to ask you about the name, but you went and said that that's what he does. He drugs you up and basically brainwashes you
Mhm.
through overpowering you with this foreign substance. So that's perfect. I just want to ask you a few names. Well, this is a regular guy. Regular guys don't need to follow the rules, but
Mhm.
explain radar and Siberian scientist. What are these?
Yep. So similar to Incubus, they're humans. Dread Knight, the gargoyle, is the only, I guess, human. So Radar, also known as Ray Fisher, is a police officer, a good one that's working within the corrupt police system, kind of working from within, getting intel for the team, and just trying to change the city that he grew up in. Obviously Detroit is known for corruption, and he became a cop for the right reason, and then found himself in a den of wolves essentially. And
It's
then
funny.
Siberian.
I have a character that's going to be very similar in issue
Mm,
3. He's an undercover cop who can't blow his cover, and
mhm.
he's just getting so tired of he's in the mob, and then like he'll tip off for somebody to get arrested, and then go to sleep, wake up, go to his fake mob job, and they're there
Mhm.
again. Yeah, we got arrested last night. The lawyers got sad. It was an inconvenience for 4 hours. Past the pasta, and he's just
Yep.
like, but he can't say anything. He's like, that's good. So he dresses up at night and beats the crap out of everybody.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the
Uh,
Siberian scientist, I
yeah.
like the look. I like that fractal mask. I guess is the way to describe it.
Yeah, so he is actually a neuroscientist who's tied into Dr. Foster above, who has been kidnapped by Incubus to actually mix that drug and give it to the subjects. And so Siberian scientist is helping the team try to counter the effects of that drug and try to find an actual cure. But since he is from Russia, right, he's been through military training as well, and he's a weapons expert. And the mask is actually just a web of neurons all throughout, um, like just a black mask. So neurons tying into obviously neuroscience.
Okay, okay,
So yeah, he's
that's
like
just my thing.
their scientist.
And you said the gargoyle is the only like non-human.
Correct. Yep.
And again,
Well.
I was ready to pressure you into this, but you got it right because the medieval gargoyles are protectors. They're
Mhm.
there. They put the gargoyles on these gothic cathedrals to
Yep.
scare away demons. So I do, gargoyles kind of got a bad rap until that '90s cartoon gargoyles came out, where
Mhm.
gargoyles are the good guys just because they're grotesque. Us ugly people could be good. Just when I say us, I'm not
Yeah.
including you. I'm talking I'm talking the royal we. But so I'm just looking to see if there's any because all of a sudden the chats went really quick, and I think I might have missed a few. But I like this. This is like my rules for, again, superheroes are I think a lot of people are doing superheroes wrong. Although your book isn't strictly superheroes, there's only one super character, but you know, it's you know. So there you go. Is there other non-human entities in this world?
Not yet, but I do have stuff planned for the third novel, which is an indirect spinoff. But kind of what I wanted to do was, you know, similar to when you say something is Lovecraftian, I think realism gets a really bad rap because it can be interpreted in many different ways. And the popular thing today is to say, oh, it's the boys, it's Watchmen, it's just being cynical and negative and blah blah blah, anti-heroes. And I'm like, I always say I like to do realism right, which is more make the story relatable and make it to where you understand what's going on in the story because it's things that are happening in real life in modern times, right? Corrupt, governments. That's realism. That's something that you can actually relate to. A character that's been through a rough divorce or went through certain life experiences. That's realism. That's
Right.
stuff that folks can relate to. And so, what I wanted to do is have the villain be a human and be a good representation of all the worst characteristics of bad humans on Earth today. And so that's what his job is in this story is to be the worst of the worst and to not be redeemable. And then to have human heroes that are relatable, just average folks that are brave, right? Trying to just do the right thing. And then to have this superhuman or creature who he's tied to a grimoire which is tied to archangels, so there's religious lore to it. He
Okay.
has a unique no kill rule,
So he's a
and
hero.
he's a true hero. And I guess I'll dive into that no kill rule, or unique one I like to call it, is he's unable to kill a human that has a soul or any remnant of humanity left in him. But with that synapses serum treatment, if a subject has undergone enough treatments, they lose their sense of humanity. They lose their soul, which means that rule is
They
off
have
the
no agent
table.
left, dominated by this incubus. Okay, I see where you're going.
And so at times, he needs to basically put them down because there's nothing left to them. They're just like a rabid shell of a human.
Okay.
So I like
No return?
to,
Like he can't redeem them? Or I mean,
yeah.
if I'm giving spoilers for your book, that's spoilers.
But yeah, so I like to tie in relatable human characters, realism in terms of world events, and then have your superhuman or superhero and have that escapism that everybody loves. And that's why, again, Batman obviously is a good comparative. Hellboy with the you know supernatural and religious lore, and then Watchmen for what I like to call the healthy realism, in the sense that it really tried to show, like, hey, the evils of government, of war,
Right.
and what would the public do or say about heroes and vigilantes, because he more hit the nail on the head. And I feel like Batman or Superman did the same thing, in the sense that humans, you'd have some that would worship a hero and you have others that would demonize a hero. You would have government officials that would try to take advantage of a hero, and you have government
Absolutely.
officials that would use them to do the worst things possible. And I liked that they were able to do that. And so I mix a little bit of that in there, but not too much. So,
I got to ask you because I have a soft spot for all the non-human good guys out there. Uh, I say it almost every time I go on live that my favorite of all time is Ben Grimm the Thing. There's something about the
mhm.
ever loving blue eyed thing that I just
Yep.
love. He was this handsome man's man, a cool guy. And he was dealt the worst hand of cards. Got bitter for a while. If you read those old Fantastic Fours, he was
Mhm.
borderline villain, and then became the good guy, like the cornerstone of the Fantastic Four, pun intended.
Mhm.
And when I was describing him to a friend, I said, he's like Pinocchio. He just wants to be a real boy.
Mhm.
So I coined this phrase. These characters are called Pinocchios. So like characters that have lost their humanity or never had them in the case of Hellboy, but they're more human. Like Hellboy is he has this gruff exterior. I mean, I got every appearance of Hellboy. I love everything Mike Mignola does, but he's always that cigar smoking. He's cool. He's chomping. But like, what did you read about the when he went to Mexico with the wrestlers when one of them died and Hellboy just got to a depression because he just lost. He finally found a friend and then the guy died and he just spiraled into. I just found that to be like so touching. Here he is, this team.
Mhm.
Anyway, long-winded responses. I call these characters Pinocchios. So
Mhm.
would you consider your Gargoyle character Pinocchio? Like he's because he doesn't have the humanity, he never had it.
Well,
More of a good guy than the humans who take it for granted.
well, that's where this one's a bit where it is different than Hellboy in the sense that he starts out the story as a human, and then
Oh,
he
okay.
gets he
I
gets
didn't know that.
chosen.
So he's a true Pinocchio then. He lost his humanity. Okay.
Well, he's only gargoyle by night, so he
Oh, okay.
actually transforms every night,
Uh-oh.
and then
I'm gonna get my sister
also
to turn into a nerd watching comic book YouTube channels.
nice.
Don't go down the rabbit hole.
So yeah, he spends half or majority of his day human, basically in hiding, and then at night he transforms into a gargoyle and does what needs to be done.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of other characters that are Pinocchio. Ben Grimm, Hellboy,
Mhm.
uh, Atomic
Swamp
Robot. I
Thing,
don't know if
right?
anybody ever read. What's that?
Swamp Thing.
Oh, Swamp Thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 What do you think about the recent Hellboy with the Arthurian plot? The movie. I didn't see the newest movie. I have put up my shields. After years of being burnt, I've put up my shield, and nothing penetrates the shield anymore until I know that other people have told me it was good. Like I'm not watching House of the Dragons because I got burnt by Game of Thrones. I'm
Mhm.
not watching The Boys because whatever.
That's just not my cup of tea either. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like the first Hellboy movie. I kind of like the second Hellboy, but then the new one, it looked great. I mean, what was his name? David Harbour in that makeup.
Mhm.
He was awesome looking, and everybody said it was terrible. And I just was like, you know what? Life's too short to watch a terrible movie. Like I didn't watch the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie by M. Night Shyamalan. As much as I love the Airbender cartoon, so I don't watch anything new until like people that I respect tell me that it was good.
Mhm.
So I haven't seen a Marvel movie with the exception of the Spider-Man when he saw all the different
Same.
Spider-Man because after Endgame because
Mhm. What's the point?
it's
Almost.
$5 to go to the movies just for a ticket. Slob like me has to get popcorns and everything, so it's like $100 to go see a bad movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, I ain't watching this trash. Pretty much, get off my lawn, kids. I got stacks of comic books over here. I'm making comic books. I got board games. There's stuff to do. That like why would I watch The Alkalite? Why would I watch it? Why would I watch anything Star Wars when
Well,
you guys? When I say you, I'm talking about everybody in the world. They just complain about it. I got no time for that. I got no time. There's 3 Star Wars movies. The number of the movies being 3. That's it. It was
well, the
limited.
thing too is, just like comics, right? The way I am with films and TV series, when I really, really love a show or a comic, I don't just watch it or read it once. I can rewatch or reread it every single year. And there's been so many fantastic movies and TV series that it's like an endless loop of great content that I could watch forever and I'd be content if there's never another good
Right.
movie. I'm honestly okay. I just want to make the next great property or story, right? So I kind of stopped caring on if they
Right.
make anything great. I know there are some great movies still. I know like the recent Dune, the recent Apes movie. There are still some really
I
good
heard the
ones.
dudes are good. I just don't like.
Mhm,
I tried to read Dune. I just didn't like it. And I'm not saying the movies are bad. I heard the
mhm.
movies are really good. I just don't like Dune. Although the board game Dune is freaking excellent. The new
Oh,
board,
nice.
but
Huh.
yeah, I don't even watch people making fun of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I remember that show Heroes. The first season of Heroes was so good. I even liked the second season. It was flawed, and I know the writer's strike. And then the third season, I was like pulling my hair out. Like, why am I watching? And I was like screaming at my TV, but I couldn't stop watching because I'm a compulsive person. So I'm like, why am I going to do this to myself? Like Lost, I got burnt on Lost. Ever since Lost, I don't watch anything J.J. Abrams.
Mhm.
They're ruining Star Trek. They're ruining Star Wars. Get off my lawn, you kids. They ruined Doctor Who is terrible. So,
Mhm.
I there's so many, like I'll listen to Chuck Dixon on Wednesdays and he always recommends a movie and then I'll watch it. I'm like, this is awesome. Some black and white cowboy movie from the 50s that is just amazing.
Mhm.
A lot of people like Dune, and I'm not pooping on Dune because a lot of my friends really love. I don't know. Maybe I should give it another try. I'll read the book. I got the book. It's right over there. I just picked it up every couple of years. Another one I can't read is The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. I just
Mm. I
Mr.
love
Grizzly.
that
I don't
book.
know who Mr. Grizzly is. Yep. I'm just laughing at Clostomus Butt Eagle because I'm still a child. And oh, I just had a question, and then good. You talk because I just lost my train of thought.
So yeah, I mean,
My sister loved Heroes, and she's not a comic book person, and it just went off a cliff. So I used to
yeah,
get so lost. I used to be screaming at the.
that's how the first, like, for Arrow and the Flash TV shows, first two seasons were phenomenal, and then it was just like a steep hill from there, and it was just like that's what's the worst. Like Smallville, it had its ups and downs, but it was good. It was really good throughout the entire 10 seasons. It was
Oh, really?
engaging, but yeah, I
I
highly
was just.
recommend
I
Smallville.
watched it for like 2 or 3 seasons, and I was just like, put on the freaking suit and fly around. This is supposed to be Superman, you know. Like the
Yep.
Lois and Clark show, I watched Lois and Clark until one episode. He didn't even put on the Superman outfit, and they were. He was a bartender and she was a waitress, and they were like investigating some crime scene, pretend. And the only she was like, "Oh my god, these drinks are warm," and he went, did super breath and cooled down the drink. It's like, oh yeah, they had to do that to remind us it was Superman. But if he actually
Yeah.
put on a Superman outfit and flew around, you wouldn't have to do stupid stuff like that. Like if you're gonna make a Superman movie, don't be embarrassed. Make a Superman movie.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
Smallville's a Clark Kent show until
Yes,
the end, basically.
I liked I like that guy who played him, and
Mhm.
it was like the first appearance of Aquaman on TV and Hawkman and stuff. I gotta go. Maybe I'll watch the seasons that I missed.
Yep.
Everybody's teasing me about my confession about the Swedish Chef. Everybody said the same thing about Arrow, that it started out as one of the best shows on
Oh,
TV and then
so good, yeah.
completely pooped the bed. Hey, it's a new name, Steven Saucedo's Film and Gaming Blogosphere. How you doing? That's a mouthful.
So
Don't breathe on my drink, Superman. I know you got kryptonite cooties over there. First season of Flash was really good. Yeah, I agree. That went really quick. Uh, you know, but I just get like I said, I fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like I see like a new property, and I'm just like they're gonna like the X-Men '97. Everybody's raving about this. I'm like, that's when they'll pull the rug out from you. It'll happen.
Yep.
The Daredevil show on Netflix was awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I really enjoyed Daredevil.
first 2 seasons of Daredevil was, I think, one of the best Marvel stuff. So good, so
Yep.
good. I didn't watch Jessica Jones yet. I don't want. It's
It
like I
was
read the
it
comics.
was
I know
it
how
was
negative it
okay.
is.
Yeah, that one, it was okay, just because it fit into the Daredevil universe, but yeah, the character was just kind of annoying and redundant to me. I know Iron Fist got a lot of shit, but I actually enjoyed it. I
I
think they did a good job with the storyline, and I like the actor, and Luke Cage wasn't bad. Just not my cup of tea, really, character wise. But
I'm one. I like I said, I stopped watching most TVs. I think I finished Daredevil, and I think I'm season 1 of Punisher, and
yeah,
I just gotta not grit and bear it because I was actually enjoying it, but
Mhm.
My wife and I started watching Agents of Shield, and I think we're on season. It's the season after Coulson's dead. Now there's an alternate version of Coulson, and once they brought back an alternate version of a character, I'm like, I
I
am
don't like
so
that.
out of here. I hate that stuff. It's have the you want the illusion of change, but you don't want to commit to the bit. So they bring back the popular. Now he's like a badass from another dimension saving everybody. And then they got this like coroner. They got this new character, Black Coroner. And it's just like, so what's going on? It's like, oh, this crystalline entity is growing in the skeleton. By the way, I'm gay. That means I have relationships with other men and I'm married to a man. And anyway, in the crystal, it's like, where was that speech? It just came out of nowhere. It's so, but Shield was excellent for like 5 or 6 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
My niece is watching Gotham. I love hate race because they made the penguin skinny. He's supposed to look like a fat penguin, right? But isn't he? He's young. Like it's like the origin. He's young penguin.
Yeah,
he's got.
I loved the first 3 seasons of Gotham. Started out super strong, and then the 4th season, in my opinion, got really like girl bossy and bringing characters back that you thought were dead, and you're just like,
it's
it's so easy to button it up.
if I see like alternate characters from other dimensions, that to me is just I'm done. Yeah, Netflix. The Kingpin was excellent. Was excellent. What's a fun show? Gotham was a fun show. I lost interest when they brought in Hot Rod driving Ghost Rider. Yeah, it wasn't Johnny Blaze. But it was all right. Yeah, he was supposed to. Yeah, I mean, the original Ghost Rider rode a horse. So I'll understand like the Ghost Rider just has whatever vehicle is like in the public consciousness and stuff. But to me, Johnny Blaze is because that's my Ghost Rider. Just like everybody has their Doctor Who, everybody has their James Bond. I'm not really sure if I finished any of the. Yeah, I have to finish a show, but that doesn't mean I have to finish it right away. Like this is going to cause problems. People are going to jump down my throat, but I can't get past. I'm a season and a half into Deep Space Nine, and it's terrible. Oh my God, I hate it so much. Like my wife and I have a couple of shows on rotation that we'll watch during dinner, and I go Star Trek, and we both go no. And
definitely keep going on Deep Space Nine.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah, that one.
I got one guy backing me up.
Yeah, that Deep Space Nine was interesting. For me, it was a slow start, but once it started to build up, they did a really, really good job connecting all the characters and keeping it consistent and having like that one, the story built up throughout every season into a huge event, which I love. Where Next Generation, I loved, but it was a little all over the place. Enterprise did a really, really good job of building it up, like the first season, and then the 4th, it was all over the place, but still really good. Voyager was the only one I couldn't really get into.
I didn't watch Voyager.
I enjoyed it, but it's different.
I'm original Star Trek guy. I grew up watching Star Trek. It was on Channel 11. Matter of fact, my sister who's watching this at the end with that big moon face, during the credits, I would like, hey, Catherine, and then like turn the TV on. Every day scare her. Love Star Trek. Big part of my childhood. So I was resistant to the Next Generation. Like I was like, even back then, I'm like, no. Mm-hmm. And then in college, like it was already over. And in college, all us nerds, we just sat around, we watched it. They had this like cafeteria where you could get dinner and watch the Next Generation every Sunday night. And I grew to love it. But Deep Space Nine, I'm like, I'm not watching this because it's not a Trek. It's a station. Star Trek. Right, Star Trek, except we don't go anywhere, So I was like, I don't like this.
They do eventually, though.
Right.
I can't say at what season, but they definitely venture out eventually.
Everybody says Babylon 5 and Farscape. I haven't watched them either. I gotta watch.
Farscape is really, really unique and really good. It's funny too, but Babylon 5 I really enjoyed that.
End the stream now and start watching Babylon 5. Well, I got Comic Book Team up at 8:30 with Rob Geronimo and RJ, and then at 10 o'clock I'm on the Incendiary Network tonight. Voyager was the worst. I don't know. I haven't watched. I always every time first off, Star Trek ended when Enterprise ended, because then became the J.J. Abrams stuff, and that's completely different. That's space adventures, Discovery and all the stuff. Whatever. That's not Star Trek. So Star Trek is over. They crossed over to another dimension and whatever. I don't. It's.
Did you watch Enterprise?
I did. I watched a couple of episodes of Enterprise, and retentive in me. He's like, I gotta watch them in order. So I gotta finish Deep Space Nine, then I gotta watch Voyager, then I gotta watch Enterprise, and then I'm done with Star Trek. But I will watch them all. But Deep Space Nine is sure right now.
Technically, you could watch Enterprise first because that's before Kirk.
Right.
But it's really good. It deserved so many more seasons.
My niece Jamie is setting me up. This is a softball because the Mary Sue trope came from Star Trek. And issue 2 of Heroic Tales, the character is called Mary Sue. She's the perfect girl. Mm-hmm. So I'm playing with the trope. So thank you, Jamie, for a nice softball. Everybody liked Farscape. I'm surprised I didn't like it. It was like Jim Henson Muppets and good, good space. Everybody's telling me they like Farscape. Terminator. Yeah, this was supposed to be a good show. Farscape is decent, but it's nothing like Star Trek. Clear that out of your head. It's yeah. I know it's different. So let's get back to your comic, Vigilantes Creed. Now, would you say it's more of a like I describe my comic as a blue sky superhero comic, meaning the good guys are good. I mean, the bad guys are despicable, like to the point where I'm starting to question whether I should change something that I did in the origin of one of the bad guys, because kind of developing a reputation as a wholesome guy, and then one of the bad guys is really bad. I'm like, you'll see when you get the comic, because I'm not changing it. I spent too much money on this comic to change it now. But so the good guys are good, but the bad guys are bad. But it's hopeful. The patriarch loves his wife. He loves his family. He's a superhero for all the good reasons. He has power and he can protect. And the way to protect his family is to protect the city and the world. So how do you describe the Vigilantes Creed? Is it blue sky? Is it deconstructionist like Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen, or
I would say it's a blend, but more so blue sky.
Okay.
Like I said, it incorporates realism where it's needed, to where it has more of that gritty feel. Because again, he's going up against a true maniac, and he's going up against soldiers that have lost their humanity. So he does have to be extremely gritty at times, right? Break some bones and all of that. So it explores the darker elements of the world, but those darker elements never negatively affect the heroes. The heroes remain heroes throughout the entire story.
I like that.
They are pure. The main character, Slade or Dread Knight, the gargoyle, before he becomes a gargoyle, right? He's like this beaten man who's just struggling to find purpose in his life, but he's pure of heart. He's just struggling, and so this story gives him this arc of basically rebuilding his life, and he gets this purpose, and it brings him to his true character of being a hero, of wanting to help people and having the ability and the resources to now help people. And then, finding like humans that have the same mindset, the same morals, to basically develop his own family, right? A non-blood family of heroes.
Found family.
Yep.
What is that? Fast and the Furious? It's about family.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's definitely an emotional story. It's got its darker bits, but nothing over the top in regards to torture or anything like that. But it's all about
superheroes. There's going to be violence. You know what I mean? But like, is it violence porn? Like, I don't know if you remember, there was a comic called Faust that came out in the 80s, and it was like borderline pornography. It was so violent. You know what I mean? Like. And and at the time, everybody was like, "What is?" Because nobody did it before, so that was the novelty of it. But now, like when I was 19 years old, I was like, "Yeah, check this out." I mean, the Tim Vigil artwork was amazing. But I don't want that anymore. Even at the time, the Dark Knight Returns. I say this a lot. Forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but I didn't like the Dark Knight Returns. And I was like, am I the person saying that the emperor is naked over here? Like everybody's raving about it, and I just shut my mouth for years because I didn't want to, peer pressure is a hell of a thing. And then Watchmen came, and then people like, you're a hypocrite. You love the Watchmen, and I couldn't articulate why I liked the Watchmen, but I didn't like Dark. Boils down to is Alan Moore made up his own characters. He could do whatever he wants. Dark Knight Returns, I really thought that the disrespect to Superman just rubbed me the wrong way. Superman is supposed to be the best of the best of the best, not a government stooge that just has, okay, Ronald Reagan, I'm going to go and oppress people, because Superman is better than that, but has nothing to do with your comic. Oh, good. You see, a lot of people are saying this. This is the first time I met Lord Colostomus Butt Eagle, which I will say every time because it makes me laugh. And the Swedish Chef, that's giving me a post-traumatic stress disorder. But a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork saying that they don't like the deconstruction. And that's why, like, I bought the Boys comic because I'm such a fan of Garth Ennis. He was, sorry, Mike Baron, sorry, Chuck Dixon, but Garth Ennis to me was the best Punisher writer. It was just so realistic, and that's what you need. What works for the Punisher does not work for Spider-Man, does not work for the Fantastic Four. But that was right up. And then he made the Boys because he hates superheroes. And I'm not a college kid anymore. I don't want to buy a comic book or consume a movie or a TV show based on the fact that you can't. I'm not writing a character. I hate these damn whatever. X people. So I'm going to write. I hate the X-Men, so I'm going to write a comic book destroying the X-Men. I don't know.
Well,
I don't want to.
and that's where I think a lot of people misinterpret Moore's intentions with Watchmen. It's not he doesn't hate superheroes or vigilantes in the story. He's basically just trying to show, like, what would they go through and what would their emotions be like in the real world. And they would get battered, they would get bruised, they would get used. But see, even though he tore some of them down in the sense of the government actually, making it illegal for them to be vigilantes, not necessarily by choice, but by fear and intimidation, some of them come back, right? And they say, screw it. And so they get rebuilt up to be what they were supposed to be and to face off, a cynical, what used to be a hero, right? A burnt hero per se. And then you have the superhuman of, like, Mr. Manhattan, who's in the middle, right? He doesn't want to be bad, but he doesn't even know what to do with himself because he's
losing
lost
his humanity.
Right. So
he's losing his connection to everything, and
right. Which I think is something good.
Alan Moore
to
loves
explore.
Superheroes, and these days he's crapping on it because I think he's just burnt by what. And it's funny because when I say what DC did to him, it's like DC didn't do anything to you. Like you signed the deal. You're a so-called genius. You knew exactly what you were signing when you got it. But that's besides the point. But I agree with you completely. Alan Moore, I don't think he was trying to deconstruct superheroes. He was just one of the first people to say, this is what it would be like if superheroes really existed. That's different than deconstruction. Again, Dark Knight Returns, as much as I love Frank Miller, I mean, oh my God, but even Frank Miller to me has misses, one of them being Dark Knight Returns, especially Dark Knight Returns 2. Oh my God, that was just awful. I mean, so many, he's got so many good things. I'll forgive him that. But anyway, our hour is up. I'm going to eat my dinner, and then at 8:30, I'm going to have RJ and Robert Geronimo over for a comic book team up. So I talk a lot. Anything you want to say before we say adieu?
Yeah, I just ask that people, maybe go outside of your comfort zone, pick up some novels, do something a little bit different. I promise it'll be a very unique and immersive reading experience with the mini comic. It's, again, a very thrilling, high-paced story that's also emotional, and it's meant to be that way. And, in regards to moving forward, the more this raises now, the quicker I can get the first comic issue finished. Every dollar that's going into this campaign from backers is going right into the first comic issue. Like I said, I'm working on the script currently, probably going to start line art here in the next month or two.
Oh, cool.
And I would like to have it mostly complete, if not 100% complete, before the end of the the 60-day campaign. So the more I raise now, the sooner you guys can get a really kick-ass comic.
That's what
But
I'm
in the
doing here.
meantime,
Any
yeah,
money that I'm raising in my campaign is for the next issue. I have a job. You know,
yeah,
I,
same.
so the money is rolled into the next issues, and
Yep.
we already started issue number 2. I didn't
Mhm.
even finish my campaign for it. It would be done, but my colorist's father had a open heart surgery, so
Yep.
family comes first. He's got to deal with that, and then when we'll be done, I'm hoping to ship my comic in September, October, and
Nice.
and then we'll start full steam. I got a secret project that I don't want to announce. I don't know. This is your charm, and I'm talking about my stuff. I don't know. I like that latest drawing of Wolverine, but like I said, Frank Miller to me, he earned whatever he wants. He could draw with a crayon in his mouth right now, and he earned it. This guy's a living legend. And I could go on and on about that injustice about him being canceled from that Comic-Con by a girl
Mm-hmm.
who didn't even want to go in the first place. She just wanted him canceled. That just could you imagine if you were one of these people that like wanted to go to meet Frank Miller and you're like, now I'm stuck with this ticket to this bull crap. I just got distracted. I thought Matt Bauer's teasing me. Don't make any trading cards of your workout photos. Rumored to be, well, a little bit of cheese or in my case, beefcake never hurt anybody, right? We're not prudes, Matt.
Pick up those Joe Ball trading cards. Got to get that fantastic black
and Matt Barr has a page in my comic too. It's freaking hilarious. It's so good. Don't let those broads cancel you. I'm uncancelable. You know why? Because I'm not dependent upon a bunch of weirdos on the internet for my income. You know what I mean? Guys, get yourself some skills and you're uncancelable. Yep. I assume you have a full-time job. You're not a comic book guy all day long. There you go. You're uncancelable.
Yeah, no, I work on this late at night. That's it. So I'm a full-time corporate worker, then a full-time dad, and then this. So
yeah. How many kids do you have?
Just one so far.
Oh, good.
But he's a handful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Why be petty when you can be positive? Zach Tan is the most positive guy on the internet. So there you go. We got Vigilantes Creed. How much longer is the campaign?
I'll probably keep it up until the first comic issue is done. So the more I raise, the quicker it'll end. So
okay, cool. There you go. And you're doing pretty good, man. This is your first campaign, and over 10 grand. Good for you, man. That is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely happy with it.
Yeah, I'll be happy if I could hit that number. If I could hit 10 grand, I got 2 comics to fund. That would be awesome, guys. So go to Kickstarter.
Do it.
Kickstarter. Not doing too good on Kickstarter. Well, what if we are not a bunch of weirdos on the internet? I know, guys. Can't we just be comic book fans? What's wrong with that? But anyway, I'm gonna eat my dinner, and then 8:30, I'll be right back here with RJ from the Fourth Age and Rob Geronimo of Alternate Comics, Blood Realm, and then at 10 o'clock, I didn't get the link yet, so I don't even know the Incendiary comic by Kojun Comics Dojo. I'm murdering that, but anyway, see ya. Bye, everybody. It was a blast. Come back, man. I want to see how this goes with your comic. This looks awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you.